Hello, girls. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where's your boyfriend? There's your boyfriend up there. Yeah. Well, welcome to a new Harry's Farm video. And you find us on the farm in Flagstaff grass with the cattle. The cattle have come back on the farm a couple of weeks ago. It does always feel like spring, and there's nothing nicer. The clock changed a couple of days ago, and now we're in with the cattle. You just hear them munching this time of night. It's about 6 p.m. in the evening. And these are dry cows, as we term it. They've come in, they've been inside, and they're now just out grazing. And there was big excitement 2 weeks ago when they arrived. There's always hopping and skipping because they've, you know, if you've been inside since November time, I suppose, it's quite exciting when you see grass again. And they'll be here for the rest of the, well, summer, I suppose, we tour into the autumn. These dry cows have actually got a bull running with them. He's up there, and he seems more bothered about his stomach than the cows at the moment, because I had hoped he'd come down with the cattle. He's the furthest one away up in the corner. We're going to have a look at the moment. But he's running with these girls. They've just been weaned off their calves, and it's just to get them into the mood again and you know, let nature do its thing. And he'll run with them for the next few months. And it's a gestation of same as he was actually just over 9 months. So these will calve again. There'll be winter calving inside. Well, when's it going to be? Jan, February time. So that's how it all works. Why isn't he coming down? Let's just go and have a look at him. So yeah, here he is. As I say, he's much more bothered about eating at the moment. He must have had a busy afternoon, perhaps. I don't know. And running with bulls in a field like this, with beef animals, they tend to be a calmer bull. This is Sussex, this breed through here, and they're here because they finish well on grass. He's I'm not sure how old he is. He's a youngish bull, this one, and as I say, he'll be with them. Footpaths and things. It was, you know, how's it all work with cattle, and you know what you've got to look out for. Well, I find it's when you've got a dog, it all gets a bit tricky. He's really not bothered about us. It's when you've got a dog is when they start getting inquisitive. Cows are just inquisitive animals, and if you have a dog, they want to have a look at it. So always take care if you see cattle in a field or sheep, if you're walking your dog or something like that, because they will come and have a look, and then it can be unnerving if you're not used to working with stock. The bulls, in my experience, that you really have to be worried about are the dairy breeds, the Frisian and Holstein breeds. They have slight screw loose quite often, and they're just a more aggressive bull. I have no idea why, but Herefords, Sussex, the bigger bull, they look imposing, but they tend to have quite an easygoing nature for whatever reason. But you never quite trust a bull, I suppose, is what to take away from it. But these bulls are really bred for being docile, for condition, and yeah, just run with the cows. It's just the most natural thing, as you can imagine. You don't have to worry about doing AI or whatever. You just leave them out in the field for 3 or 4 months, and hey presto, 9 months later, you have some cows in calf and they're calving. Anyway, so they're the cows. You'll be seeing them a bit later as well as the weeks and etc. roll by. What I want to show you now is just some of the things. This has been quite a cool spring so far. It's taken a long time for the grass to get going, and we've had a lot of wind, and that just did some damage on the farm. But that's down the other way, so we'll disappear and go and have a look at that. So what I wanted to show you was this wall. Now this looks like a very old stone wall, but actually we put this in about 2005, I would say, 4 or 5. So it's 15 years old, this wall, and it looks really good. And there was existing wall down here, and one of the worries you have with stone walls is when you plant a tree by a stone wall, and then this happens. It all looks lovely to begin with, but the trouble with a tree is it gets bigger, it gets more mass to it, and you get gale force winds as we had this March. this happens, and basically it's all being caused by the tree swaying in the wind and pulling on its roots. There's no foundation to a stone wall, so it gives the wall a bit of a wiggle. It's like a mini earthquake for the wall, and it falls down. It's one of those things you learn if you have stone wall maintenance, is trees planted right by walls. That's what happens in a few years' time. It might look a nice, good idea, but I'm afraid that is what happens. You can put a lintel in some of the trees when we know they're too close and the wall has to go past them. You put a sort of lintel, as we term it, a bridge, so the wall is not actually in the ground, and then that stops that happening. Fortunately, it's the alpacas in this field, and the last thing they're ever interested in is escaping, so I'm not too worried, but we'll have to fix that in a few weeks' time. Right, anyway, what I want to show you is the wheat over here, which is looking fantastic this season. Yeah, what I'm really pleased about this is just the evenness. It's greened up since having that bit of nitrogen a couple of weeks ago, and there's very little weeds going on. It's all tittering out nicely. If you see here, it's all very clean. You can see there, it's tittering out. So there's one seed we put in the ground, and that is known as tillers. You can see how many tillers have come off that one seed. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is about right. So that's the main tiller. That will come up. We're just about to get to stem extension at the moment. So this is, I mean, it's Skyfall, and it is a bit susceptible to yellow rust. It's sort of breaking down. It's what happens with varieties. So I'm just looking for rust. I don't think that's just a bit of mildew and coming in there. But yeah, no rust, thank goodness. We'll probably put a little fungicide on it because we'll be going in here. I would say next week, actually. We'll probably get the next dressing of nitrogen on, and then some of the fields haven't had any weed killers, and they're just going to get a little dose, take out some speedwell and things like that. But wheat is looking excellent, and the price is still very strong. But it's not quite so good news on the oilseed rapes. That's where I want to go to next. Right, this is the oilseed rape, and you can tell a big change, I hope, since it had its first dressing of fertiliser, which was last time you were here. Now this is really growing up, and you can this is the seed head. It's coming up like this, and this is stem extension. This is powering up now, these rape plants. And I'd love to say all the rape looks like this, but it doesn't. And it's that cabbage stem flea beetle has struck a lot of my rape this year, and I thought I'd got away with it. And this is all down to the banning of this insecticide in parts of Europe. And there used to be this seed dressing we used to put on all the oilseed rape seed, and it protected us against the cabbage stem flea beetle. And what it does, this little beetle, it comes out, it nibbles on the plants. I think if you've watched Harry's farm before, I was checking for the little bits bitten out of the leaf just after planting, sort of August, September time. And that little bug lays some eggs on the plant, and the giveaway is in its name, cabbage stem flea beetle. Those eggs hatch, and then they nibble into the stem of a brassica, namely oilseed rape, and it decimates the crop. And what's so frustrating from a farmer point of view, I have spent all the money on this. This is the most expensive crop we grow on the farm, and it all looked fantastic. Then we got hit by those really hard winds, and you thought, oh no, it's coming back, it's all right. And then just when we put the fertiliser on, I've got plants here that are just keeling over. And it's cabbage stem flea beetle again. But what's odd this year, normally they attack the base of the stem and they all gather there. This year, they're actually getting on the nodule. You can see that sort of died up. And there again, I'll just see if I open this up and just see if we can find a bug in here, a larvae. There he is. I don't know if you can see, there's the larvae there. Just like a maggot there, he drops out, and he's just killed that branch. And it's very odd this year, because instead of attacking down here, it's attacking sort of individual branches on the plant. And it must be something to do with when the eggs sort of hatched, and I think the plant was bigger than it normally is. What I'm hoping is going to happen is, you see down here, this is unusual, because we're actually getting, the plant has said, oh, I've lost this branch up here, I better grow another one, and it's bringing these out at the base, and they look as though they're sort of new branches coming out, and maybe this will compensate for the loss of the ones up top. But this bug can wipe out your crop, and it has made oilseed rape growing a real gamble, and especially when you think it's all right and then you get to March and this flipping larvae suddenly destroy your plants. It strikes me the banning of this insecticide is a bit of an odd one. It's a bit like the vaccine. Everybody's suddenly worrying about blood clots, and there's 7 people died of blood clots. But what happens if you don't put the seed dressing on or have the vaccine, where you get thousands of deaths? The name of the chemical escapes me at the moment, but it's on the seed dressing to protect the plant. It works a treat. There was a very minor, unproven link to potential bees taking in the insecticide. It's a systemic insecticide, so that means it's inside the plant, and when those larvae hatch, and it's a smaller plant at the time, they then nibble on the stem. It's got the insecticide in it, and then the larvae doesn't actually do any damage because it keels over it. That's an egg hatch, so it gets it very early and you don't really see the damage. But we haven't got it anymore, so we're just growing it blind. And we've seen the oilseed rape acreage, and well, we have a demand for 2 million tonnes of oilseed rape seed, and we're going to be down, well, they're hoping it'll be under 1 million. So we're going to import 1.3 million tonnes of oilseed rape seed this year into the UK. And where do we import it from? From all the countries where this seed dressing isn't banned. So it just seems a complete nonsense to me that we're actually decimated our oilseed rape market in the UK, or the growing of it. I need another break crop. I had the linseed, that didn't work. I don't know, I'll see what happens come harvest, but I wish the whole farm looked like this. The one positive in all of this is the prices have rocketed up. You used to get just over £300, sometime under £300, but it's settled around the £300. It's £450 plus now, oilseed rape. So it makes it a profitable crop if you can get it through to harvest and don't have this attack of camellia flea beetle. In fact, all commodities in farming have gone up quite unexpectedly. Well, wheat we expected to go up because there was very poor harvest. Remember all the conditions last year, couldn't get the wheat in the ground. So we've had £200 a tonne this year. If I was selling wheat today, just under £200. I've already sold, as I said in a previous video, quite a lot of harvest for this year, 2021. That wheat you saw just before, that sold at 153, 155. And first time ever, I've actually sold the wheat. I'm going to plant, after putting this oilseed rape in as a break crop, I'm going to put a wheat in next, and I've already sold that. So that's the harvest for 2022. I've sold that at £150. So just to bank in those sort of numbers for the wheat, because it's profitable at £150, it's plus premiums. I'll probably grow a million variety. So it's bizarre. Lamb is really rocketed as well. The price of lamb, we didn't expect that because that always used to go into Europe. And beef is high as well, and it seems the lockdowns and the rest, we're all treating ourselves and we're cooking more meat at home and we're getting selective on the joints, and we want to buy British, and that's all great news actually for British farmers, and I hope it continues. Right, so there you go. There's a quick roundup of what's happening on the farm. What I'm going to do next in a couple of weeks is just do the soil samples. I've teamed up with this lab MCM, and they're going to find out the carbon content of the soil, and I'm going to test this under the hedge and in the middle of the field, and we'll find out what happens there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, well, please keep watching Harry's Farm, because there'll be more videos coming on very soon.